So hello friends, welcome you all on this session on practical demonstration of numerical IEDs configuration and relay settings. In this session, we will discuss about the Siemens make numerical relays and how these relays are configured using Dixie software. For the practical demonstration, I am using this Dixie software version 4.94, and Dixie, as you know, is the shortcut or the short form for digital Siemens. That is, all Siemens make IEDs are configured using this software only. In this practical session, I am using a pre-configured Dixie file for one of the relays at one of the substation, and I am not going to start from the beginning. I am not going to start from how the completely new IEDs are added. If required, we will have a separate video on that also. But what I am presently going to do in this session is that I will start from scratch on one of the pre-configured Dixie file. I will explain you about the various settings which are available in this Siemens distance relay. What are the importance of all those settings? How the inputs and outputs are configured, how the logics are created, how we time synchronize these Siemens make relays, how we can analyze the DR using this Dixie software and this SIGRA, that is the inbuilt functions of this Dixie software also. SIGRA is Siemens graphics. So now I will start with the Dixie software. I have already opened the Dixie software over here, if you see. And in the beginning, when you open your Dixie software, generally it will open as a blank screen. Now you have to go there. This is open project library. And if you have multiple of the project, then you can select any one. But I am presently having only one file, so I will open that file and then OK. The other method is that since I have already opened this file once, that is why it is coming here. Otherwise, you have to go to browse, and then you have to give the path from where your project is to be exported, or from where you have already saved your project. In this case, I have saved my project in this Siemens Dixie 4 path, and there is the project. So I am selecting this, and now OK. So it will open. Since this is a project of one of the substation having large number of 400 kV and 765 kV IEDs, but for our practical demonstration, I will consider one of the relay. I will consider one of the distance relay, and I will explain you what are the steps involved in the protection IED settings, what are the steps involved in the configuration. So let us start. I am using this 707B. Actually, these nomenclatures, we will have a separate video how these nomenclatures are done. That is 701, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. What is the meaning of these in a substation? Basically, this is nothing but a 400 kV means there are 400 kV lines. Some lines and some ICTs will be in 400 kV level. Some lines and ICTs will be on 765 kV levels. These numbers 401, 402, etc. These denotes the bay numbers, which I have already explained during the theoretical session on 1.5 breaker schemes. There, what is the meaning of bays? So then this 701, 702, etc. it designates the bay numbers of 765 kV, but we don't focus on these things right now. Otherwise, we will deviate from our main motive of practical demonstration of Dixie software. So we will directly go to this 707 bay. Now in this bay, you will see there are 3 folders: 707 RA, RB, and RR. Basically, this depends upon the configurator or the person who is configuring the relay at the first time, how they are designating their folders. Here, 3 folders are created, and these 3 folders designate 3 protection panels or IED panels available in the relay room or in the kiosk. The 707 RM is the first panel, RB is the second panel, and RR is the third panel. Now, if you open any of these in 707 RA, it designates that in this panel only one relay is available, and what is designated is that 707 is the bay number, RA is the panel number, 21, as I have already explained in the very first lecture, that 21 designates your distance protection, and dot 1 means main one. That means in 707 RA panel you have the distance protection main one relay. Similarly, if you go to 707 RB, that means this panel consists of a BCU, that is bay control unit, and I will explain to you how these BCUs are configured and what are the basic settings inside this BCU. Similarly, if you go to RR panel, it shows that this panel have 3 relays and 1 BCU, and these relays are basically 21 is distance and R is for reactor, that is distance protection of the reactor. and I will explain to you all these protections while we will have a session on reactor and transformer protection. Basically 21R is the backup impedance protection, 64R is REF, and 87R is the reactor differential protection. Now we will start with the distance protection of transmission line. So we will double click on this and it will open. When you double click, you will have these types of options available in front of you, that is offline, direct and Ethernet. Basically, if you are communicating your relay using the LAN port or the fiber optic port available on the rear side of the relay, then you have to select the Ethernet option. If you are communicating your relay through the front port serial cable, then you have to select the option direct. Since in my case, I am using already a pre-configured file and I am opening this relay of saved project from my laptop, that's why I am selecting offline. So after selecting offline, just click on OK and now it will start opening. Once it opens, you will have two windows, one in the left hand side, one in the right hand side. Left hand side window designates that this relay opens in the offline mode. Now you have some options over there. These options are basically settings, annunciation, measurement and oscillographic records. In the settings options, basically all the settings related to this Dixie software and related to the particular IEDs are available. I will discuss it one by one once we will start the practical demonstration. In the settings, you will see these options like device configuration, masking IO, CFC, which is continuous flowchart or configuration flowchart, power system data 1, setting group A, oscillographic fault record, general device setting, time sync, interface, password and language. In the enunciation window, you will see the event log, trip log, general interrogation, spontaneous enunciation and statistics. Kindly note that enunciation window and all these enunciation, that is event log, trip log, general interrogation and spontaneous enunciations, this you can see only when the relay is in online mode. That is when you have connected the relay either through the front port, front serial port, or through rear port, that is LAN port or optical fiber port. Then only you can see the live status of the general interrogation, spontaneous enunciation, trip log and event log. But once you have saved that project into your hard disk or into your laptop, then you can see the trip log and event log also. Then in the measurement, you will have these four options, that is primary value, secondary value, percentage and others. We will discuss about these also. And in the oscillograph, you will see the oscillographic fault record, that is the DR, and we will have a separate session on the DR analysis. In this session, we will focus only on how these DR are saved, how these DR are downloaded from the relay. So let us start with the first, that is setting. In this setting, if you click on the left hand window, in the right hand side you will have these options. But before starting this, just look at these various tabs available on this Dixie software. If you look at above, it is written that the name of the substation for which this project belongs to, then the 765 kV voltage 11 followed by 707 bay, then 707 RA panel, distance relay main 1, that is 707 RA panel main 1 distance relay, and the relay model number is 7SA522, which is a Siemens Maxi Protect relay. If you see above, you will have these options: file, edit, insert device, view, options, windows and help, and these are basically the same windows which are available to everywhere in any kinds of software. So we will not discuss about these things. Only important thing for us is that these two things here you see, one is the primary values and other is the secondary value. Kindly note that if your tab is selected in the primary value, then all your relay settings will be displayed in the primary value itself. And while configuring this relay, if you are entering any value, then the relay considers that you are entering the value in the primary terms. That means it will convert automatically itself into the secondary value using CT and PT in the later stages during the calculations, during the fault detection. So second thing is secondary value. Ideally, always we enter all the settings in the relay, always we configure our relay in the secondary value itself, so that there is no ambiguity and relay detects and relay calculations and detection is not hampered. We will discuss it in details in somewhat later stages. Now this arrow along with question mark is used for help. So if you are you have selected this arrow and then you click on anywhere on this software, you will directly be transferred to one window on help section, and there you can see the descriptions of various settings itself. Now in this right hand side you see there are the options: device configuration, masking IO, and we will start with one by one. The first thing is device configuration. In this device configuration, if you see when you click on device configuration, a new window will open. In this new window there are basically three columns. In first column it is mentioned as 0, 103, 110, 112, 113, 129 and all the way down to 140. These numbers basically indicates the various types of functions inside this 7SA522 relay. You don't have to remember these numbers, but these numbers are very helpful for searching anything in the help window, for searching anything in the Siemens relay manuals. Basically what you have to do is, if you know any number, suppose this number 0103, and now you want to go to the help tab, what you have to do is simply go to help and then help on device, and there you can directly search using this number 0103. And in this case 0103 is simply the device configuration, so I don't have anything available with setting group change option here. We will see in the later stages how this functionality helps in your search methods during this manual searching in Siemens relay manuals. So now this 0103 is for setting group change options. Generally in all the relays, setting group change options are disabled, but we can have this option enabled also. The meaning of this setting is that in any numerical IDs you will have generally more than one setting groups options available. That is, you can have setting group 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and you can select any number of setting groups, and depending upon the network configuration, depending upon your actual power system conditions, you can select that in a particular situations our setting group 1 will be active, in a particular situation setting group 2 will be active. Like I have already explained in the theoretical sessions during the parallel line compensation or the parallel line mutual compensation, suppose you want to have two setting groups, one when both parallel line is in service and another when only one of the parallel line is in service. So in that way you can have two settings in a single relay. Trip mode basically designates how this relay will issue tripping command, and we will select both 1 and 3 pole. Then this characteristic, the characteristic that we are using in this relay is quadrilateral characteristic. Additional threshold we are disabled, and we will discuss about this additional threshold in later stages. Power swing we have enabled. The distance protection scheme we are using here is POTT, that is permissive overreach transfer tripping scheme, and I have already explained this in the earlier sessions. Direct trip transfer trip we have disabled, and I will explain this to you in this IO configuration stage what is the meaning of this. SOTF overcurrent we have also enabled. Weekend infit with trip and echo function we have disabled, because in this particular case or in this particular project there is no weekend. Our end is a strong end, so we are not using this weekend. Backup overcurrent protection and earth fault overcurrent protections we are using this function using time overcurrent curve IEC, and in this IEC we will have to select the options, that is whether it is a standard inverse, normal inverse or IDMT, and we will select this in the later stages, and I will explain to you what this means. Teleprotection for earth fault overcurrent we are not using, that's why it is disabled. Over frequency and under frequency protections again we have disabled. These are generally available for the generator protection, not available here. Then under voltage over voltage protections we have enabled this. Fault locator is enabled, and trip circuit supervision again we are not using in this relay functions. So if you see here, there are multiple functions available inside a single relay, and that is the major advantage of a numerical relay. You have n number of functions available inside a single numerical relay, and depending upon your requirement, depending upon your system conditions, depending upon your utility, you can select whatever functions you want to select, whatever function you want to use. Now once you have done this basic thing, you have to now move to the various tabs, that is masking IO, power system like this. But before discussing about masking IO and CFC, we will go to power system data 1 and setting group A. In the power system data 1, what we generally see are the settings related to the CT and CVT. In this case, like I have already explained in one of my videos, the CT star points, and kindly note that for any protection system, your CT star point must be made towards the protected object side. Now for transmission line, it is again mentioned that the CT star point must be towards line, so that's why CT star point is made towards line. If by default or inadvertently someone has created your CT star point towards bus bar and you want to use that CT for transmission line protection, then also in numerical relay you have the feature that you can invert that star point by simply selecting this option towards bus bar, and I will explain this to you in somewhat later stages. Then this rated primary voltage designates the voltage level of this line, that is 765 kV. Secondary voltage phase to phase is 110. CT rated primary current, which is 3000. CT rated secondary current, which is 1 ampere. U4 voltage transformer, that is this fourth voltage transformer, which is not used. And then the only important setting here is your I4 current transformer. I4 is basically for neutral current of the CT. Now, in this neutral current of the CT, you will have these three options: neutral current of the protected line, neutral current of the parallel line, and not connected. The meaning of these are, if you are using CT in which you have connected all your R phase, Y phase, B phase, and neutral to your protective relay, then you have to select the neutral current of the protected line. Like I have already explained in one of the sessions, on theoretical sessions basically, on the protection of parallel lines, and there I have explained to you that in case of parallel line you have to select the neutral current of the parallel line for fault locator for better accuracy. So if you are having a parallel line, in that case you have to select this option, neutral current of the parallel line. Another thing is that if your neutral is not connected directly to the relay, in that case you can select this as not connected. We will see why it is connected here as not connected. This is the scheme drawing of this particular case. Here you see, this is in this drawing, that this whatever is inside this dotted rectangle basically designates your protection panels. The outside this rectangle, this designates your switchyard. Now if you see in your switchyard, there will be two CT, one of the main bay and another of the tie bays. This CT, main and tie bay CT, will be parallel, that is main CT and tie CT R phase parallel, main CT and tie CT Y phase, main CT and tie CT B phase. This will parallel, and now this parallel wire will be connected to the terminals of numerical protective relay. So this is R phase, Y phase, B phase. But if you look at the star point, which is neutral of the main CT and tie CT, this is your star point, that is the main CT neutral. This is your star point, that is your tie CT neutral. And now if you see here, these star points, that is the main CT and the tie CT, these star points are not connected to the neutral terminals of the relay, but this is connected this star points or these neutral wires are not connected to the neutral terminals of the relay, and the neutral are formed on some later stages on some other protective relay in the disturbance recorder. So now one question might creeps in your mind, that if the neutral is not connected in any of the terminal of this distance protection relay, then how it will determine the neutral current? Basically, that's why we are configuring here as not connected. Whenever you configure this I4 current as not connected, then what your relay will simply do is that on the basis of your current on the R phase, Y phase and B phase, it will calculate internally the neutral current magnitude, which will be the vector sum of R phase, Y phase and B phase. And now on that calculated value of the neutral current, the relay will take its decision. So this is one of the most important things while configuring the Siemens Next numerical relay, because suppose you have connected it inadvertently as neutral current of the protected line, then what happens? Since you see from here that you have connected in configured it as neutral current of the protected line over here, but your neutral current of protected line is not connected to the relay. That means when this relay is now detecting any fault in the system, what it will measure is that it will measure the R phase current, but it cannot measure the neutral current because neutral current is not available to the relay. And once the relay have only R phase current and no neutral current, that means relay cannot take its decision on the basis of any impedance calculation. It cannot calculate correctly the impedance. It cannot take its directionality decision, and that your distance protection will not operate correctly. That's why you have to be very specific while settings this neutral current of the protected line. This is the only important settings out of all these settings available here. The another thing is CT ratio, that anyway you will take care while settings. Now the next thing in this second tab, power system, In that type, you will have all these settings are default settings. Only important thing over here is the rated frequency. It will be 50 hertz, and then the distance measurement unit, which is kilometers. You can select it at miles also, but in that case, when the distance relay operates and it shows your distance, it will be in the miles, and you have to convert that into your local units in kilometers. So that's why it is better to select the distance measurement unit as kilometers. Then the setting format for zero sequence compensation factor, I think I have not discussed in any of the theoretical lecture, but I will discuss it later. The zero sequence compensation factor is basically when you see in case of phase-to-phase faults, your current from the, suppose the fault is in RY phase, so the current of R phase will be returned through the Y phase only. But in case of the R phase to ground fault, your fault current returns through the ground path. And now this ground path involves lots of factors, and these factors, one of the important factor is the zero sequence impedance. And zero sequence impedance, the zero sequence impedance will keep on changing depending upon your terrain, depending upon the conditions or the soil conditions. That's why you have to use the zero sequence compensation factor in the relay correctly. And how the zero sequence compensation factor calculated, I will have a separate video after the end of this session, how the zero sequence compensation factor are calculated, what are its importance, why it comes only in case of single line to ground faults, why it is not important in case of phase to phase faults. Now the next thing is your breaker. In this breaker, there are many settings available, but kindly note that in this relay, in this numerical relay, if you are not using the auto reclosure inbuilt function, then there is your second setting, that is maximum close command duration, and dead time for CB auto reclosure is not applicable. The only settings applicable is your minimum trip command duration, which is 100 millisecond. That means whenever this relay issues a trip command on detection of any fault, the minimum duration of trip command will be 100 millisecond, and we will see this during the DR analysis session. Now after this power system data 1, next we will move to setting group. And kindly note over here, in this setting group, you are having these settings as distance protection general setting, distance zones quadrilateral, power swing, distance protection for teleprotection for distance protection, then SOTF, backup overcurrent, measurement supervision, earth fault overcurrent, voltage protection, fault locators. And these settings will be available to you only on the basis of whatever you have selected in this device configuration tab. If you have not selected in the device configuration tab the SOTF function, then SOTF settings will not be available over here. Now we will start with the first setting, that is power system data 2. In this power system data 2, the important settings for you is that the first three things, that is the measurement, full scale voltage, full scale current, that is depending upon your line voltage level, that is 765 kV or 3000 ampere. Kindly note that these settings, that is the line parameters or the line angle, then the reactance value, these all settings will be provided to you by the utility for which you are doing these relay settings and relay configuration. So you don't have to be very specific about how these settings are calculated. But if you want how these settings are calculated, if you want to know why these particular settings are calculated, on what basis, what are the basis for calculation of these settings, then again you can comment in this section, and we will have a separate session on the distance protection relay setting calculation. Right now, for the important setting for us is the line reactance per unit length, which is 0.1275 for this particular line, and the line length, which is 178.7. Why this is important, the line reactance per unit length and the line length, is that now suppose in case your protective relay have detected a fault, and on detection of a fault it has calculated a total reactance up to the fault as 127.5 ohms. So now on that 127.5 ohms, it knows that the ohms per kilometer is 0.1275. That means the fault location is 100 kilometers from your transmission line or from your substation end. If you have not set this per unit reactance value correctly, then the fault location will not be accurate. The next thing is line status, and this is very important settings. The pole open current threshold setting, this setting has very high importance in case of 7SA522 relay. Basically, pole open current threshold meaning, if you see here, we are using this secondary value. We are configuring this relay in the secondary. Now, pole open current threshold, if you see here, this magnitude is showing at 0.05. And if you remember, the CT ratio is 3000 ampere. That means The pole open current threshold magnitude is 3000 into 0.05, that means 150 ampere. So what this relay generally does is, whenever the current is below 150 ampere, then only it assumes that your poles are open, your breakers are open. Otherwise, it always assumes the breakers are closed or the line is in energized condition. The implication of this pole open current threshold are on many settings in the 7SA522 relay. The pole open current threshold settings have its implication on SOTF protection, have its implication on fuse failure, have its implication on broken conductor, have its implication on the trip command reset. So you will have to set this very judiciously, and you always remember what are the importance of this setting. We will discuss its importance when we go to all of this particular setting, that is SOTF, fuse failure, broken conductor. Then we will again discuss about this importance. Similarly, pole open voltage threshold, like the current which is 0.05 ampere in the secondary, the pole open voltage threshold is 25 volt. So whenever the voltage is above 25 volt, the relay assumes that your breakers are closed or line is in the energized condition. So if your pole open current threshold, that is if your line is having a current which is less than 140 ampere, that means your relay assumes that your line is in the trip condition or line is in the de-energized condition. Now seal in time after all closure, it is 0.2, that is 200 millisecond, and this I have already explained in the theoretical session on SOTF protection. What is the meaning of seal in time? Basically, when you energize your line by closing a circuit breaker, then your SOTF protection will be active for a particular duration, and that particular duration in which after closing of breaker, the relay only sees the magnitude of current and it takes a decision on the basis of that magnitude of current is called seal in time. That means if you close your breaker, now once your breaker is closed, then starting from that time to the next 200 millisecond, the distance protection will be in disabled state, and your relay will detect that the line has been closed, and on that basis of line closure, it will issue a trip command only on the basis of your settings of the overcurrent magnitude of SOTF protection settings. We will discuss it in later stages also. Basically, distance protection are not disabled. That's not a correct statement. I will explain to you in somewhat later stage why distance protections are not disabled and what are other importance of seal in time. Next is the minimum time for line open before SOTF. This is again very important. That means now if you see here 0.05 and 25, the meaning of this is that suppose your line is connected from both ends, power flow is going on from one end to other end, and at some particular point of time your voltage or current, basically current, suppose you are using only a current logic and your current reduces from 150 to suppose 140 ampere, and then in the very next millisecond and then in the very next sample this current again rises from 140 to 160 ampere. Now what happens is that you are using your setting as 150 ampere for pole open current threshold. So once your current value comes down from 150 to 145 or 148, then your relay detects it as an open, pole open. That means it detects it as line open condition. But suppose in the very next sample or in the very next millisecond of the time, this current value changes from 140 to 180. That means your line, the protective relay now have to recognize this as a line closure. And that might create some problem, and we will discuss how this creates some problems in later stages. So in any case, you have to set some minimum time durations. Suppose in our case, I have selected this as 500 millisecond. That means if once your current value have reduced from 150 to 140, then it must remain in that lower than 150 limit for more than 500 millisecond. Only then your protection relay will detect that line is now open, and it will enable the SOTF protection automatically now after the detection of line closure. Now another thing is how your line closure is detected, that is recognition of line closure width, and this is again a very important setting. Here you can see the importance of the above settings. Basically in our case I have selected this as manual close BI, but the options available here are: the first is current or voltage or manual close BI. Second is CB aux or current or manual close BI. The next is current flow or manual close BI. The first case, manual close BI, is very simplest of the options. Manual close BI means you have wired your circuit breaker manual close command up to the relay, and we will see this in the binary input configuration stage how these are wired. But suppose you have wired one of your input to the circuit breaker manual close command. Now whenever you are giving the circuit breaker manual close, then your protective relay will detect it as a line closure, and once it detects it as a line closure, then it for the next 200 millisecond it will remains its SOTF protection active because of this seal in time. The next thing is current or voltage or manual close BI, and kindly note here all these are ORed, that is all these are logically ORed, which means is that current or voltage or manual close BI means once your current value has reached its value less than 0.05, or in terms of primary, once the current magnitude has reduced from 150 to suppose 145 ampere, that means your relay will detect now as a line open condition as per this setting. If that magnitude remains less than 150 for more than 500 millisecond, then your relay will detect it as line open, and once it detects as line open, and now your current suddenly increases from 145 to 200 or 400, then it will detect it as a line closure. So that is the basis of current only. Secondly, voltage only. If your voltage is reduced from suppose in the secondary values it reduces up to 24 or 23, that it will detect it as line open, and once the voltage rises from 25 to suppose 26 or 27, then it will again detect as a line closure. In these cases, there are the chances of incorrect operation of SOTF protection. For example, suppose in some cases your line is having very low power flow, that is your line is having a power flow in the range so that the current is only 140 ampere or 130 ampere. That means now your relay is detecting that your line is in open condition, and suddenly due to some system condition your current rises to 2000 ampere or 3000 ampere. Then it might happen that once this current has reached from 140 ampere to 2000 ampere, the relay what it detects is that since your current magnitude has changed from 140 ampere to above 150 ampere, that means it has detected it as line closure. And now if during this 200 millisecond window this current rises to 2000 or 3000 ampere, and that 2000 or 3000 ampere is more than your SOTF protection setting, then your relay will issue a 3-phase trip command and line will be tripped. And this has resulted in many maloperations on many of the utilities across India, and on 400 kV voltage level, on 765 kV voltage level also. So it is better to use manual closed BI only. Next, you can have a CB auxiliary also. You can wire your CB open and closed NONC contact to your relay, and on the basis of that wiring you can detect where the breaker is closed or whether the breaker is open, and you can detect these at line closure signals also. Now another thing is reset of trip command. Now reset of trip command, again this is very important. Suppose your relay has issued a tripping command on the basis of its algorithm. Suppose it has detected that it is a zone 1 fault and it has issued a trip command. Now if you remember from last setting of the last window, then the minimum duration of trip command is 100 millisecond. That means once the relay has detected the fault in zone 1 and it will issue a trip command, that trip command will be active for 100 millisecond. That is one thing, but that is only the minimum time. That means what is the maximum time? The maximum time is governed by this setting, pole open current threshold only. That means once your protection system has detected a fault, once the protection system after detection of fault has issued a trip command, then this trip command will automatically expires after elapse of 100 millisecond time. Generally within this 100 millisecond time your breaker will be opened, and after the opening of breaker the current will be much lower than this 150 ampere. It will be ideally it should be 0. So your tripping command will reset. But suppose in some cases it might happen that the protection relay at one of the end has operated due to incorrect operations or due to any other reason, the other end line is not open or line remains in the charge conditions. Then it might happen that in your relay you will have some charging current magnitude, or if there is a line reactor you will have a reactor current magnitude in your relay, and that magnitude of current might be more than this 150 ampere. And now what happens that your tripping command will not reset. So this setting the pole open current threshold. Now you can see that it has its use on the recognition of line closure, on the reset of trip command. Now, how this pole open detector comes into picture? This is set by using this setting number 1136, and this is generally done by with measurement. What is the meaning of with measurement? That you have connected your R phase, Y phase, B phase of the CT and R phase, Y phase, B phase of your CVT to the protective relay, and relay is continuously measuring this current, and on the basis of this measurement value, it calculates the pole open current threshold magnitude. Then this is again the same seal in time after manual closure. The first thing here is that you can see this is seal in time after all closure. The difference between seal in time after manual closure and after all closure is that seal in time after manual closure means when you are giving pulse using the circuit breaker manual close command, then it detects it as a manual closure. All closure means if you are selecting it on the basis of current, on the basis of voltage, or if you are using the inbuilt functions, inbuilt auto reclosure function of the relay, then the auto reclosure close command will fall into the category of all closure commands. Then these last two settings, these are the default settings, and these are not of much importance for us. The next thing is tripping mode, 1 or 3 poles. This is again very important for us. Basically, what does it means is that the only important setting for us here is trip type with 2 phase faults. Trip type with 2 phase fault is that suppose there is RY phase to phase fault. So what you want is that in case of phase to phase fault, generally we assume that it is a permanent fault on the transmission line, like I have already explained in the first session on the theoretical lecture. If it is a permanent fault, you don't have to go for auto reclosure, which I have already explained in the auto reclosure session. So once you don't have to go for auto reclosure, that means you can trip your line all 3 poles, and that's why in case of 2 phase faults, it is better to always select 3 pole. Either way, you can select single pole also, or you can select 2 poles, but that is not a wise decision. So we always select 3 pole for phase to phase faults. 3-phase coupling is with trip, and this meaning is that once your relay has detected a phase to phase fault, or your relay has detected zone 2 fault or zone 3 fault, and now it is issuing a trip command. So it will issue a 3-phase coupled command, that is, it will issue a 3-phase tripping command to R phase, Y phase, B phase. If you set this as 3-phase pickup, then what happens? Once your relay has detected a fault in zone 2, for example, it will couple all this R phase, Y phase, B phase in 3-phase mode, and suppose now relay is operating in zone 1B, again this will issue a 3-pole trip command only, because it has coupled all your 3 poles. So it is better to keep it at trip only, not with pickup. Now we will see the distance protection general settings. In the general settings, the first important thing is that your distance protection setting must be kept on. Then the another thing is your phase current threshold for distance measurement, and this is very important, that your distance protection relay will start the distance measurement calculation. Your distance protection relay will start the calculation of its loop only when your current magnitude is more than 100 milliampere in the secondary, or for this particular case 3000 ampere in the primary. Kindly note that for any kind of fault on the transmission line, your this current magnitude will be always much higher than 0.1, and so there will be no problem. And this is done only to avoid any inadvertent tripping, any maloperations. Now, the another thing is that angle of inclination of distance characteristic. This is simply your the line angle or distance angle that you have calculated using the ratio x by r or tan inverse x by r. This is already this will be provided to you by your utility for which you are doing these relay settings. The series compensated line, this will be available to you either it is a series compensated line or not. The next is instantaneous trip after switch on to fault. This is again very important. Suppose you are using a switch on to fault logic and you have closed a circuit breaker. Now it might happen that once the closing of circuit breaker, your relay will see a fault. Suppose there is a permanent fault. Now how this relay should operate? If you want to give a directionality to this, you will have many settings available to you. First one is with pickup, and this is a non-directional setting. With pickup, non-directional means your SOTF logic will work on any of the faults available at anywhere in the system. Once you are closing your breaker, suppose on closing of the breaker it detects a current magnitude, and that current magnitude is higher than your relay setting, then it will directly issue a trip command depending upon where that fault is. Depending upon that fault is in your transmission line or not, in that fault is that fault might be on some other lines, or that fault might be behind your transmission line, then also this relay will operate incorrectly. So it is better not to select this setting as with pickup. If you select with zone 1B, then this relay will issue a trip command, instantaneous tripping command on the after this circuit breaker manual closure. If it detects a fault in zone 1B, that means in zone 2 with carrier receive, normally you will not have any carrier receive in this SOTF case, but if you are closing the breaker, we will see in next settings that zone 1B and zone 2 settings are same. So if you are closing the breaker and it detects a fault in zone 2, that means it detects a fault in the forward direction, then only this relay will issue a 3-phase instantaneous tripping command. And kindly note that zone 2 time, as you are already aware, as I have discussed in this theoretical session, that zone 2 is time delayed. But once it is detecting it as your SOTF functions, it is detecting your switch on to fault protection, then those timers will be bypassed and relay will issue 3-phase trip command. Similarly, you can go for zone 1 also, but it is better to go for zone 1B because as you know, zone 1 is only up to 80%. And suppose you are charging a line and the line earth switch of the remote end is in closed condition. That means in that case, it happens that now that fault is not covered in the zone 1. And if you are setting your SOTF instantaneous tripping for zone 1, then it will happen that your relay will not issue a trip command on the basis of this zone 1 because this fault is not in zone 1 but in zone 2. So it is better to select zone 1B or zone 2 if it is available. Then there are two other things, that is zone 1B unidirectional and zone 1 unidirectional. Zone 1B unidirectional and zone 1 unidirectional means now it will select the fault only in it is not unidirectional but it is undirectional. Undirectional means now it will select it will operate for any faults anywhere on the power system network if it falls in the zone 2 boundary. That means it is now a non-directional types of function. So if a fault is behind your transmission line, if a fault is on the bus side and you are closing the breaker, and if this fault doesn't pertains to this transmission line, but if the reach is coming inside the zone 2 magnitude only, then also it will issue the trip command. Or if it is zone 1 undirectional, that it will issue the trip command. You can set this as inactive also. In that case, this SOTF logic will not work on the basis of zone settings. In that case, SOTF will work only on the basis of overcurrent protection, and we will see on the later stages. Then this setting R load and angle. Similarly, R load and angle for phase to earth and phase to phase, this will be provided to you by the utility, and this generally denotes the load encroachment setting, that is the maximum value and your load resistance that you can tolerate, and up to that value you have to crop your zone 3 setting that I have already explained in your theoretical sessions, how load encroachment is taken care of. Then next is single pole tripping for fault in zone 2. We always set it as no, because we want, if there is a fault in zone 2, we always want your line to trip 3 poles. We don't want an auto reclosure for out of zone faults, or we don't want an auto reclosure for a faults on adjacent transmission line. That's why this is set as no. Zone 1 be extended before first AR. This again is not much importance for this particular case because here we are not using inbuilt auto reclosure function of this particular relay. But if you are using inbuilt auto reclosure function, then this setting will be important. And this setting is important. Why? Because suppose you are using the inbuilt auto reclosure function and you want your relay to issue an auto reclosure for any faults on zone 1B, and you want your reach to be extended up to 100%. Suppose you are having a problem in your carrier receiving circuit and you know that when there is a fault in zone 2, you want that your zone 1 for that particular case to be extended from 80 to 100% for better coverage, for better coverage of fault area for your complete transmission lines. So anyway, that is important only when you are using inbuilt auto reclosure function, not important for this particular case. Again, this is important for your earth fault detection. And these settings are basically how the earth fault is detected by this 7SA522 relay. The first thing is 3I0 threshold for neutral current pickup. The meaning of this is that whenever the relay detects a neutral current more than 0.1 or in terms of primary magnitude more than 300 ampere, then it will detect it as then its neutral will pick up, or what it means is that then only your R phase to ground fault. Suppose there is a fault between R phase to ground, and if your current in the neutral is more than 300 ampere, then only your R phase to ground loop will pick up. Similarly for voltage, this setting should be something like this. And the other setting is your pickup stabilization. Pickup stabilization is nothing but simply it is your slope, and that slope is basically your ratio of neutral current to the maximum value of the phase current. Suppose your neutral current is 300 ampere and your maximum value of the phase current for any of the phases is suppose 2 kilo ampere or 3 kilo ampere. Now that 300 ampere neutral current divided by 3000 ampere your current in the faulted phase, then that ratio must be greater than 0.15 for your pickup stabilization. Because in some cases it might happen that due to your unbalance in the system, the current in the neutral will increase from some zero magnitude ideally to suppose 300 or 400 ampere. But in that case also you don't want your relay to operate incorrectly. So how you can avoid those situations is simply by having a ratio of your neutral current with a maximum value of phase current, and your phase current maximum value will change only in case of a fault in the system. Otherwise it will be of very low magnitude, and if you then calculate this ratio, it will be of a lower magnitude and your relay might not pick up, or your pickup will not be in a stabilized region. Second is the criteria for earth fault recognition, how your relay detects the earth fault, and this is very important. This meaning is that suppose there is an R phase to ground fault and your relay is calculating neutral current, and at the same time it is calculating the zero sequence voltage also. Now you can select it that your relay should detect R phase to ground fault, or your relay should detect a earth fault only when both conditions are met. That is only when your neutral current is more than this, your zero sequence voltage is more than this, and your pickup stabilization is in this area, or you want that only one of these conditions are met and you want your earth fault to be recognized. And this again falls into the criteria of dependability and security. You want your system to detect, or you want your protective relay to operate in case it detects earth fault, and you want your system to operate as correctly and as fastly as possible. And if you select this option, that is OR logic, now what happens, generally it only detects the value of zero sequence currents and it will issue a trip command without waiting for the criteria of this second conditions, that is the zero sequence voltage, and you have the chances of less protection maloperations, less protection failure. Second is the loop selection with phase two phase to earth faults, and you select generally all loops. What does it mean? Is two phase to earth fault, suppose the fault is in R phase, Y phase and ground, that is RY ground faults. Now you all loop means the relay will calculate all the loops, that is R phase to ground, Y phase to grounds, RY phase to phase, RY phase to ground, and on the basis of all loops it will take the decision. Next thing is time delays. Time delay, these settings will be provided to you by the utilities for which you are setting your distance protection relay. And the most important settings out of all the settings available here is your condition for zone timer start. Kindly note that in the Siemens relay, you have this timer start settings, two options available. One is distance pickup and another is zone pickup. Generally, we always set it as zone pickup, because if you select this setting as distance pickup, then what happens, suppose there is a fault anywhere on the transmission line, and that fault is at that particular point of time not on your transmission line. But because of that non-directional nature of your relay, and we will discuss this T5, which is your non-directional, and zone 5. So once your relay has detected a fault anywhere in the power system network, so this non-directional pickup will start your timers of all the zones, that is zone 1, zone 2, zone 3, zone 4 and zone 5. Now once suppose after some time your timer has already started, so your timer is counting from 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and suddenly your fault now enters into the zone 2 reach, and at that point of time it is possible that up to this point you have set your zone 2 time, in this particular case as 350 millisecond, and your timer has already started because of the distance pickup setting. Suppose your setting is distance pickup, so timer has already started, and once your reach enters into zone 2 range, at that point of time your timer has already elapsed, suppose 150 millisecond or 100 millisecond. That means now your zone 2 will not operate at 350, but it will operate at a time which is 350 minus the timer which has already elapsed. Suppose it has elapsed 150 millisecond. That means your zone 2 will now operate for 200 millisecond, or it will operate only after 200 millisecond, and that is undesirable. So you are losing your selectivity in the system. You are losing the security of the system. So it is always in a Siemens relay, you have to select it as zone pickup, and your timer will start only when your distance loop enters into a particular zone. That is, only when the distance loop enters into zone 2, then your timer should start. Now these settings, zone 1 time delay for phase to phase fault, double phase to fault, or multiple phase fault, zone 2, zone 3, etc. This will be provided by manufacturer, and you only have to enter it like this keyboard. Suppose 0. Suppose next setting is again 0, you have to enter like this. That setting is 0.35 or 350 milliseconds. So only keep on entering. This is simple data entry work. You have to be specific. You have to understand these settings only for troubleshooting work, only for your better understanding of the relay. But this entering of the data is basically a data entry work. Now we will move on to the next setting, which is distance zone quadrilaterals. Now distance zone quadrilaterals, in this if you see here, this operating mode is forward, and like I have already explained to you in the theoretical session, in the very first session, what are the various zones, that is zone 1, zone 2, zone 3 and zone 4. Out of these 4 zones, zone 1, 2, 3 are 3 forward looking zones, and zone 4 is 1 reverse looking zone. Zone 1B, I have already explained in the third session, or in the second session if I am correctly recalling, the scheme based protection, and where I have explained you about the POTT schemes. There I have explained you the communication aided tripping, and that those communication aided tripping is called zone 1B tripping, or zone 1B extended in case of Siemens relay. Zone 2, zone 3, again if you see here, zone 1 is basically forward, and this value, there is reach of resistance, reactance. These are provided to you by the utility on the basis of their relay setting calculations. If you want to have a look on how these relay settings are calculated, we will have a separate lecture. You can comment on the tab below whenever you need any specific thing about relay setting calculation. We will definitely have a video on that also. These time settings, this is calculated by your utility, and then this zone reduction angle, this I have already explained in this advanced distance protection, and this is basically your top side of this polygon characteristic. And that top side, if you know, that top side of the polygon characteristic, it depends upon your pre-fault power flow conditions, where the pre-fault power flow is in export or in import, and then its impact, along with the impact of fault resistance, it either reduces your fault your upper boundary, or it will either increase your upper boundary. So I am using the, or for this particular case, we are using this zone reduction angle as 5 degree, depending upon this utility person's experience. Now this zone 1B extended, basically I have already explained in your theoretical sessions that zone 1B is basically the tripping of transmission line in zone 2 by bypassing its timer immediately on receipt of carrier. That means your zone 1B resetting must be exactly equal to your zone 2 resetting. So if you look here, zone 1B resetting is 12.94, 27.35 and 12.75. So zone 2 resetting is also exactly the same. The only difference is that zone 2 is having a time delay of 350 milliseconds, while zone 1B is instantaneous. That means if a fault is in zone 2, it will operate at 350 milliseconds. But once your relay receives a carrier from a remote end, it will bypass this carrier and it will directly trip after receipt of carrier. That means without any intentional time delay. Again, this setting is exactly same. I have already explained what is its importance, and its importance comes only into picture when you are using the inbuilt auto reclosure function of this relay. Single pole tripping for zone 2, this already I have explained. Now comes zone 3. Zone 3 is basically for your remote backup, or the backup of the longest line from the remote substation, and that's why it reaches maximum. This resistance, if you see this reactance value will be fixed for both phase to phase and phase to earth fault, but the resistance value will be different for phase to phase and phase to earth fault depending upon your load encroachment. Now this reverse zone, it is a zone 4, it is a reverse looking zone, and it will have some settings depending upon the utility experience, depending upon how the utility is calculating their relay settings. Generally, it is calculated as 10 to 20% of the line impedance in the reverse direction, and the time delay of zone 4 is always 500 milliseconds. Zone 4 is a non-directional and it has a maximum reach, and zone 5 basically non-directional is for the complete area, and this is basically used only for distance protection pickup function. Zone 6 is an additional zone available in your relay, and if you want, you can configure this zone also, but for our purpose we have achieved all our target by using zone 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. That's why zone 6 is not required and it is kept inactive. Now the next thing is power swing. I have already explained the importance of power swing, already explained the theory of power swing, how power swing are detected. The only settings available for power swing in case of Siemens relay is what you want to do. Either it is all zone blocked, or zone 1 zone B blocked, or zone 2 and higher block, or zone 1 zone P zone 2 block. As I have already explained to you in the theoretical sessions, that the settings of power swing blocking is although very easy, it depends upon the study of complete grid conditions, and these settings are generally provided by the network operators. For this particular case, what we are doing is we have kept all zone blocks. So once your power swing enters into any of the zones, all the tripping in that zone will remain blocks, and this tripping, so power swing tripping will be blocked. That means the power swing tripping is set as no. Now next is teleprotection for distance protection. These are, you have having now this teleprotection for distance protection. Normally all the settings should remain high or active, so that means the distance protection for teleprotection should remain on. Next is type of line. Either it is a 2-terminal line, that is it is connected between substation A to substation B, is a 2-terminal line. 3-terminal lines, that means a line which is originally connected between substation A to substation B, but there is a tapping in between these two substations. Anywhere there is a tapping, and you have tapped that and connected to some other substation, and then that is the third terminal. So you can have a 2-terminal lines or 3-terminal lines. Then this is the time for send signal prolongation. This I have already explained while explaining you the PUTT schemes, that your carrier send signal should be active for at least 50 to 100 millisecond duration, because if you are sending your carrier signal for a very low duration, that it might happen that on receipt of the carrier signal on the remote end, your zone 2 might not have picked up at that point, and so your carrier signal will expire, and this zone 2 plus carrier receive logic will not work properly. So the carrier send signal is prolongated or elongated for, in this case, 70 millisecond, or you can set it as 100 millisecond, 200 millisecond, or up to a maximum of 30 seconds. Depending upon this, these settings are generally provided by relay manufacturer, but for the utilities, it is better to set it at in between 50 to 100. 100 is ideal, and 70 millisecond is selected for this case, and 70 millisecond, all these your problems will be solved. Transient blocking during external faults and transient blocking T after external fault. These settings are basically for the not applicable for all the cases. These are applicable only for the POTT schemes and having parallel lines, which I have already explained to you. In case of permissive overreaching transfer tripping schemes, if there is a parallel line, now on those parallel lines, what happens is that if there is a delay in the opening of the breaker at one end, then the current reversal will take place, and due to this current reversal, there is always a race condition between the zone 4 drop off and the carrier signal reset conditions, or zone 2 drop off and carrier signal reset conditions, and there you can have incorrect tripping of second transmission line, which I have already explained to you in your theoretical sessions. And so we set generally a time delay of suppose 40 or 50 millisecond, and in those 40 to 50 millisecond, if there is a reversal of current signal, this relay will block your carrier signals, and this is called transient blocking during external fault. This is generally set at 40 or 60 milliseconds depending upon your settings. Now the next setting is your SOTF. Already I have explained your SOTF protection. The only thing is here is 1.5 ampere. That means your current setting is 1.5 in from secondary. That is, in the primary value, it is 4.5 kiloampere. So once your current is more than 4.5 kiloampere, then after closing of manual closing of circuit breaker, if the current magnitude is more than 4.5 kiloampere, your relay will issue 3-phase trip command depending upon SOTF protection. Backup power current, I have already explained this also in the Ancillary function, this is basically the stub protection for 1.5 breaker scheme, and since this is a 765 kV lines, so definitely it will be a 1.5 breaker scheme. Generally for all voltage level above 400 kV, including 400 kV, the schemes that are generally used is 1.5 breaker scheme, and there you have to select a backup overcurrent protection in case there is a fuse failure, or in case there is line oscillator is open. Now in this case, when we are activating this signal, is basically on active with loss of VT circuit. So when your VT circuit, that is line oscillator, is open, at that point of time, you have simply set your backup overcurrent protection to be active, because now your distance protection will not work. And then you have to set some time delay and some current settings for this stub. There you have many settings available, but the only settings applicable for us is I stub. And what is important for us is these two settings, that is I stub pickup, that is current magnitude, which is 1.5 ampere in the case of secondary, and this time delay of 100 millisecond. And I have already explained to you why this is kept as 100 millisecond, because this stub protection is generally time delayed, so that it provides a backup to your bus bar protection, and generally your bus bar will operate at 0 millisecond or instantaneously, and it will clear a fault in 2 to 3 cycles. That means in 40 to 60 millisecond, and considering a coordination time interval of 30 to 40 millisecond, that means 60 plus 40 is equivalent to 100 millisecond. So stub time delay is set as 100 millisecond with a current setting of 1.5 ampere. Similarly, you can see now the measurement supervision. In case of measurement supervision, the important setting for us is fuse failure monitor. In this fuse failure monitor, the basic setting is that fuse failure monitor must be kept on, and this is the setting. The minimum voltage threshold means once your voltage magnitude falls below 40 volt, then your relay will detect it as a fuse failure condition, provided your current in the relay is flowing for above or less than this 0.1 ampere. What does it mean is that when the current in your relay is less than 0.1, suppose this relay is detecting a current in the terms of primary as 250 ampere. Now 250 is less than 300 ampere, because 300 is primary. So now relay will see that this current is less than 0.1. That means this relay now recognizes that this line is already shut down, so there is no need for fuse failure blocking. So in that case, it will not lead to your fuse failure blocking, and it will issue a trip command inadvertently due to incorrect setting. But you cannot do anything about this because this minimum setting available is 0.05, and if you set it at 0.05, that means 150 ampere. So anyway, if your line is having a power flow of suppose 140 ampere, and in that case your fuse fails, then Siemens relay is prone to give distance protection tripping command. That is one of the limitations of this relay. Now another settings which is important for us is your earth fault overcurrent. And earth fault overcurrent I have already explained in some of these slides. It is basically your directional earth fault. Directional earth fault is for high resistance earth fault, or DEF protection, and this fault is basically provided by IDMT overcurrent characteristics, and here we are using normal inverse. The only important thing for us is this 3I0 pickup, which is the pickup time for your pickup current basically for this DEF setting, and this TMS 0.667. So now if your suppose this current magnitude, the relay detects a current magnitude of suppose 100 0.1, that is 100 milliampere in the secondary. So in terms of primary, suppose your current is 300 ampere, and then your timer will start. Now if the relay detects a fault current of suppose 3000 ampere, so your relay will issue a trip command depending upon the TMS and depending upon this setting, which this setting is 300 ampere and relay detecting a fault current of 3000, which is 10 times of rated current. So generally this relay will operate on a general thumb rule as 2 times of TMS, so 0.67 into 2, that is 1.34 second. Now voltage protection, this is a very simplest type of protection. Over voltage protection, this is these settings are also provided to you by utility, and to the utility these settings are provided by the network operator on the basis of their study of the grid conditions, that is how much maximum voltage they can tolerate on the system. Basically these are very complex settings in terms of regulations, because always your utility doesn't want to operate their equipment on a higher voltage level because of the reduced life of their equipment, but at the same time the network operator wants to have more number of elements into the system, and they don't generally want their system or the network element to be tripped immediately after your system voltage rises from suppose 765 kV to 770 kV. So they always provide some safety margins, and on that margin, suppose that 770 to 790 or 800, their settings are decided on the basis of mutual agreement between the network operator and the utilities. For this particular case, this setting is generally set at 68.6 in terms of secondary, and this is 108% of the rated voltage. So if your voltage in the relay is more than 108% for 7 seconds, then it will issue a trip command, three-phase trip command. This is the second stage, in which case if your relay voltage measured voltage increases to 140%, that it will issue a trip command directly after the elapse of 100 milliseconds. The important setting over here is this reset ratio. This reset ratio is 0.99. That means suppose your setting is 100 volt. So once this relay measures a voltage above 100 volt, so it voltage pickup or over voltage protection will pick up. Now if this voltage falls below 99, then its over voltage protection will drop out. So if you set this value at lower magnitude, suppose 0.98 or 0.95, then what happens is that once your magnitude reaches from 100 to 101, relay will picks up. But again, now if your voltage is reducing even to 98, your relay will not drop off, and its time will keep on increasing, and after elapse of 7 seconds, even though your system voltage is at lower magnitude, it will issue a trip command. So there are chances of incorrect operations. That's why it is set as high as possible, but we cannot set it at 100 or 1, because if you set it as 100, then relay cannot decide where it has to pick up or it has to drop off. So that is the up to this point. The last thing is fault locator, and in the fault locator only thing is that you want to have your fault locator start with trip. So you don't want your fault locator to start on any pickup on every case. Only when your relay has issued a trip command, then only you want your fault location distance for line maintenance and for line patrolling purpose. Load compensation is important. I have already explained in one of the theoretical sessions also. So up to this point, these are related to the basic settings of the relay. Next setting is for the oscillographic fault records. For oscillographic fault record, the settings available are waveform capture save with trip. That means the relay will save the waveform. Relay will save the DR capture waveform only after the tripping, not on every pickup. Then this is the maximum length of DR. This is 3 seconds. Prior to trigger, 500 millisecond, and after event it is 500 millisecond. That means it will record a pre-fault data of 500 millisecond. That is before fault inception, the 500 millisecond before fault inception, the actual current and voltage of the system, and after the tripping, the 500 milliseconds time data. If you want to capture your DR using any binary input, then you will set this using capture time via binary input, and this we set as 3 seconds. This is important for oscillographic fault record. This we will see again while analysis of DR. Then the general device setting, this is not important for us. Basically, this is for the HMI or available on the front of the relay, and this is the fault display on LED LCD of the relay HMI. This will display targets on every pickup, so you will have display on your HMI on every pickup of the relay. Another important thing is your time synchronization. Relay have generally many time synchronization options available, but we generally select either Ethernet NTP if your relay is communicating via Ethernet ports or via optical fiber port on the network. Then it is always selected as Ethernet NTP, provided your GPS is also on the same network. And second, if your GPS is not having Ethernet port, or if your relay is not communicating on LAN port, then you have to select this iRigBee. Then another important thing over here is that fault indication after. That means suppose your GPS, your relay has lost the time synchronization signal from the GPS, and if this continues for 10 minutes, then only you will receive a signal in your computer screen or in your HMI that this relay is not time synchronized. Important thing over here is that time zone offset to GMT, and this is 5:30 hours as per Indian Standard Time. Now, these settings are default settings. These are not much important. These are important only in case you are communicating your relay with front port. So this is default setting. VD address, this is very important setting. This is called the Ciprotech virtual device address. This 10078, this must be the same inside your relay and inside your relay projects on your engineering backup engineering computer or on your laptop. Only then you can communicate your Ciprotech relay with your laptop or with your computer. Then this setting, this again IP address, this is only for the front port. This is not important for us. The important thing is this Ethernet on device. This IP address is very important. This IP address must be on the same network in which you are connecting your laptop or your computer or your engineering PC. This IP address must be on the same network. If you see here, the subnet mask is 255.255.0.0. That means you can have your computer on the same network by, suppose the relay is in 172.16.34.177. So you can have your laptop IP address as 172.16, and this third digit can be anything. This fourth digit can be anything because of the 00 in the subnet mask, and you can directly communicate your relay using the second or using the rear port. This is again important because your Ciprotech relay you can open using IP address on web browser. But if you select this, there you have 4 options: no access, full access, changing, and reading. Generally, we set it only as reading, because you on the web browser you can only if you have the IP address, you can open the relay on web browser and you can only see this settings, or you can only see the measurement value, but you cannot change anything. If you set it as reading, you can set it at full access, but then there is a problem that if someone has accessed your relay on the web browser, then they can change anything, and that is not desirable. The second thing is your redundancy, and this is important for your communication with optical fiber port, and this we will discuss during our sessions on 61850 and during our sections on your substation automation, that what is a line, what is a star, what is bus, ring, and switch. So we will discuss later on. Then language is again important, but you can select either English or English US. English US is the general English. If you select normal, then you will have everything in your setting as if you see over here, but you will discuss in later stages. Since we have selected as English, and that English means English UK, so you will have plain English like manual, close, relay, trip, like this. But if you selected it as English US, then in the relay you will see the settings not as distance protection but as 21 protection or 85 or 68, because in English US they will show your settings in case of IEC numbering or NSA code numbering only. So in this session we will limit ourselves up to this point only. In the next session we will discuss about the CFC chart, we will discuss about the input output configuration, and thank you.